What's going on, everybody? It's Coach coming at you. Untouchable Customs back in the shop. It's been a couple of days, but Coach has been busy at work. So, gotta work, gotta make a couple extra dollars so we can put it into Jock and try to get him going. So, last episode, I went ahead and got the front cradle out and said that on my next episode, I'll be taking the rear suspension with the leaf springs and all that stuff out. So it's a little late, but I want to do something today. So I'm going to get at it and go as far as I can today, and we're going to see how far I get. So stay tuned. So here I'm getting ready to take these top shock bolts out. For the most part, they were pretty easy. It's just the car was so high in the air and my arms are short, so it made it kind of challenging to get to them. But needless to say, I eventually get them out. So after I got the shock bolts out, I looked at the plan of action to get these back bolts out for the leaf springs and discovered that I needed to rethink that because this was not going to work. The bolts just looked too rusty. The nut on the back was kind of disintegrated, so definitely had to figure out a different plan of action on that. So I left those other bolts on the other side of the leaf springs alone and decided to tackle the ones in the back. The nuts came off fairly easy, but then it took me a while to get the actual shackle out. That took longer than I anticipated, but I was going about it at the wrong angle. So once I figured that out, I got the driver's side out. And then when it came to the passenger side, it took me literally less than a minute or about a minute to get that one out. So I sprayed those bolts down in between to try to see if that would help loosen it up. Don't know if it did or didn't, but I just know when I got a better angle with the fork that I was using, I was able to get it out. So once I finished the driver's side, I just went right over to the passenger side, and as you'll see, it didn't take me any time at all. Once I got the little pry fork with the right angle, and like I say, I don't know if the Master Blaster spray helped, but I was not over here long at all before I was able to get it out.
Well, that's it for today. Took me longer than I anticipated. Had a total of 6 bolts and nuts to take off. What was that? 2, 4, 6. So it's 8. 6, yeah, 8 nuts. If I would have been a little more experienced, I probably could have got them off faster, but that's okay. I got them off. That's all that matters. So all I have left are the back end of the leaf springs right here. I'm probably going to take them off here because it looks like it'll be more easier to take off versus fighting that other nut and bolt that seems very rusted on there. So that's where we at. You know, I can't get in here every day like I want to, but a little bit of progress is better than nothing. Ooh, I'm pretty dirty. That's all that rust and stuff falling on me. So I'm getting in the shower. Have a good one. Later. Hey, this is Coach coming at you with another episode of Untouchable Customs 2.0 in the shop. Once again, we are in here today with the B, aka known as Jock. And we are removing the rear suspension with the shocks, the leaf springs, and the rear end. This is part 2. We got about 8 nuts left to take off, and then we're just gonna slide that thing right on out and right on down. And stay tuned because it's coming up real soon.
So let's get right into it. I go back and with a little bit of heat, just to heat these nuts up to make sure they don't break. And once I put a little bit of heat on it, don't know if it helped or not. Last night I sprayed the nuts before I left, so that may have helped too. But I put the little fire to it, and they came off with no problem. So that worked out perfectly. So when I got to the other side, I had to line the camera up a little bit better. But I went ahead and heated all of the bolts at the same time, simultaneously, so that I didn't have to go back and forth. And like I said, I sprayed them the night before with the Master Blaster that's supposed to help loosen rusty bolts. So that may have contributed to it also. But these bolts came off fairly easy, and it was a pretty smooth process. Didn't have to get any breaker bars or anything like that, kind of like it was on the other side of the leaf spring the night before. So I was pretty happy about the way how these 4 bolts or 8 bolts came off. When you're messing with this kind of stuff, you always want to use safety glasses and be as careful as possible. Safety first. So, just a little side note. So now all of everything's disassembled, with the exception of the emergency brake cable, which I should have taken off before I took all of the nuts and bolts off. But it's not drawn up textbook, so sometimes you do things differently, but at the end result is you get it all accomplished at the end. So I dropped it down. Like I say, then discovered that I needed to take the drums off, so that, and then take the brake shoes assembly completely apart so that I could get the emergency brake off. That was fairly easy for the most part. It's just kind of hard working on the floor. When if I had a lift, it would have been better. If I'd have had a creeper, or had I left it in the air, I could have sat on a chair and did it. It would have been a smoother, easier process without me having to actually lay on the floor. But like I said, at the end of the day, I didn't go about it textbook, but I did get the job done. So it's pretty proud of the accomplishment. So basically here, I'm just shifting the rear end over, so I'd have to go over into the corner and be pinched trying to get the other emergency cable off. So I was able to twist it out and swing it over so that I could get the emergency brake cable disassembled on for the passenger side. And of course, you know me, I always got a vacuum. I don't like to be messy. So, and as you can see, Lotto is the foreman of the shop. He's making sure that I'm doing a diligent job. And he's a great foreman, too. So now I'm just doing a little walkover showing the progress that I have made on Jock. As you can see, I'm showing a 4-speed, factory 4-speed car. Just showing all the progress that I've made. Jock is pretty much 99% disassembled. I do have to get the fuel line out and the emergency and brake lines off. And there's probably a couple things that I missed, but we'll get to it in due time.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Well, I'm done for the evening. Got the rear end out all the way, leaf spring, shocks. Had to take the drums off to get the emergency brake cables out. Something I should have done before I did everything else, but you know, live and learn. There's the front cradle out, and there is Jock. The wheels came in yesterday, so I'm waiting for my brother Chris to go ahead and make up the cart dollies for me, car dollies, and get them on here so this thing can move around. Right now it cannot, it's not mobile. All right, so as you see, everything is pretty much disassembled. I got to take the brake lines off, the emergency brake lines off, and then the fuel line. And I believe that will be it. I'm sure I'll find something along the way. Maybe that needs to be done, but all this I did myself over the course of the last month, maybe. I'm not exactly sure. I have to go back and see what date I posted my first video. That'll be interesting to see, but I'm not in a race. I'm taking my time, being as careful and safe as possible. So that's what it's all about. You know, I watch a lot of graveyard cars. I pay attention to a lot of things, not only graveyard cars, but, you know, friends that paint cars and build cars. My buddy Kev, who is the owner of Untouchable Customs 2.0. You know, he taught me a lot, taught me to be self-sufficient and, you know, to give it a try. As long as you're safe, you know, everything is pretty much straightforward. If there's something I have a question about or an issue with, I could always give him a call. You know, he'd be here helping me. I know he would, but he's currently just about finishing up on an 80 Grand Prix that's going to have about 1,200 horsepower. Really, really beautiful car. It's going to look like a grandma car. All original body, all original everything. Took the drivetrain out for the customer and put a really nice built LS motor with a supercharger in it. So you'll probably be seeing a video of it on his channel So stay tuned for that. I'll keep you updated. Lastly, I want to talk about my buddy Greg Qualls, who sold his 1970 4-speed Hemi Challenger that has been known by the name of the Black Ghost. And the guy he sold it to was a really cool guy. His name's Ryan. He sent it to, let me get the guy's name right. Hold on a second. Let me get the guy's name right. So Ryan, who bought the Black Ghost, sent the car to the Mopar legend Frank Balderson. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Badalson. So forgive me if I messed that up, which I know I did. But he is a specialist known to fix survivor cars and keep them as original as possible. So Ryan sent the car to him when he bought it, and it's been there since he purchased it back in May. And he's got all, so far he took some dents out, paintless dents, has it real nice and shiny. And they're getting ready to go inside the motor now to do whatever's possible to keep it as original as possible. But he has discovered that the car once had headers on it. There were some modifications, aftermarket things put on the car that made the car faster, that made it faster than a 14-second car. Even though racing on the streets of Detroit and Woodward and other places in the Detroit area, I mean, who's got a time clock out there, especially when you're known as the guy who lines up with you at the light, races you, and instead of getting out, he continues to go because... My bad. I'm back. So I was saying, Ryan, who recently purchased the Black Ghost, the original Black Ghost car, the person he sent it to has discovered that the car once had headers along with some other aftermarket things to make it faster. But like I was saying, when you're racing from light to light and you're not stopping, who knows if a car, who's keeping track of a car running 14 seconds? I mean, you know, because that's been the thing about the Black Ghost is, you know, it's a 14-second car. Wouldn't have won many races on the streets of Detroit back then. You know, I mean, nobody's talking about a 14-second car. You know, we're talking about racing from light to light. And then he would leave because he was a Detroit police officer and he didn't want his job finding out that he raced his car. So that's what made that name become what it was and what it is today, which is the Black Ghost. So, you know, different stories are told by different people saying that they have all of this information and these facts, and they don't. So, but it'll be interesting if you guys follow the story. It's a very interesting story, and it's not made up. But it's a very interesting story with Ryan, who owns the car now, that is finding out these things about what GQ did to the car back in 1970. So anyway, I'm done for today. And like I said, everything's pretty much all disassembled on Jock, with the exception of the brake lines, the emergency cable, and the gas line, which I'll be taking care of that in the next couple of days. So I'll be off for a little bit while. Won't be making many videos until the car goes to be media blasted, and that's when we'll pick back up. So not sure when that will be. So stay tuned. Keep that notification. Turn the notification bell on. turn the notification bell on so that you'll know when I do post another video, you will know about it firsthand. So hit that subscribe button. You know, what's really interesting is I did this all by myself. Nobody's come to visit me. I've offered, and it's really interesting because I go to a lot of guys' places and support them when they want me to come and just help them out, hand them a tool, do whatever. But I'm solo in this one. That's how it is sometimes. Y'all have a good one. Later.